Hey guys, welcome to the Canyons. It is a beautiful day, and as you see right behind me, I've got my Mustang back. So let me just show you around one more time in case you're new in these parts and you're not familiar with these cars. And then, since it is sorted and good to go, we're going to take it for a ride. So let's take a look. So most obvious thing, of course, is the bodywork. The bodywork is by RDBLA. We had to widen the car 6 inches because of the Maximum Motorsports chassis work that we did. We wanted to fit a 295 tire at all 4 corners with, of course, the independent rear suspension that has been modified by Maximum Motorsports with Delrin bushings, a torsion differential, aluminum drive shaft, upgraded sway bars. Up front is the tubular K-member front suspension, which has completely different geometry from a standard Mustang. And of course, you can see I have the 13-inch Cobra brakes, 4-piston in the front, 2-piston in the rear with a slotted rotor. We did the Saleen front valance, and I chose to go with the riveted look. I know some people aren't about the riveted look. Some people want the fenders to be blended in with fiberglass, but I wanted it to be like this, and it makes me very happy. Tires are pretty tucked, you may notice, but it is set so it's actually impossible for the car to rub. It cannot rub at full lock or full compression. And of course, we've got the HRE RS105, the 3-piece forged wheels. On the inside of the car, we can see her shifter, and I took out the center console, so it's just going to the floor. The Grip Royal steering wheel, and of course my Autometer gauge cluster. Then we've got the Recaro seats and Sebelt harnesses, and in the back you've got not really much of anything, but there is a 6-point roll cage which has the low door bars. This is a street car, it's not a race car, so I wanted it to be easy to get in and out of, so we've got that. Let's take a little look under the engine. Now, the engine is fairly clean under here. I think it looks pretty good. It is a 302 crate engine from Ford with aluminum GT40 heads. It's got an MSD ignition system, the Explorer intake. I added a high-flow water pump. Mac hooked me up with some headers after I cracked my last set of headers, so we got some Mac Shorty headers. You can see the Maximum Motorsports adjustable caster camber plates here, and my new Mishimoto dual pass radiator with the electric fans. I've actually set the radiator, or I've had it set in the fans to its hottest setting. So I can always add more fan and get it cooler, but I've got it set to as hot as it goes, and the radiator is actually so effective that it holds the perfect temperature. So I can always get more later if I need it. So now that I think you guys have a nice little overview of what's happening with the car, let's go take it for a drive. The engine is running very strong. It makes, in theory, 350 horsepower to move around this 3,100-pound car. And now that it's running good, I'll show you how it runs. Nice. Now we're in here. Let's see what she do, huh? Well, as it warms up, you can hear the cam. It's a 303 cam. It's got a nice lumpy idle to it. Let's go for a drive, shall we? Alright. You may have remembered I was on the same road last time, so it's a good time to compare before and after. Now I can actually shift the car at the correct RPM because it's not running hot, it's not running cold. Now with this setup, it runs about 180 on the highway, about 190 in the canyons, and if I start going really hard, it'll see 200, which is really right where you want one of these things. Got my Hearst shifter, making the shifts really direct and precise. The tires are Continental R compounds, 80 tread wear. Rear gearing is a 355, which is perfect for the canyons. You can see how little steering I have to put in. Not very much at all. may go back to a smaller master cylinder at some point, but it's doable for the moment. The brakes are very, very effective. Of course, they're not ABS, and I can lock them up pretty easy if I try. My favorite thing is the steering and the ride. It's just in such harmony. I can take corners at speed, and with the IRS, you know, even if there's a bump in the corner, it won't really get upset. Sounds pretty good. Cyclists in the road. With the new Mac headers, it's got a nice clean sound to it. And with this cam, it's really happy at like 2,500 to 4,500 or so RPM. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it doesn't need to be. I mean, I wanted the chassis to outperform the engine. That was the goal here. And I already had an upgraded engine, so I brought the chassis up now beyond where the engine is. And now I can add power later and have a chassis that will keep up with it. The clutch isn't super heavy. It's pretty light actually. It's fine in traffic. With all but the worst traffic jams, the car is really well behaved. Let's crank up the window here. Maybe it'll be a little better to hear. What's great about this thing is, believe it or not, it's a muscle car and a momentum car in one, because I can carry such good speeds through the corners with all of this available grip and all this brake and the chassis rigidity. I can drive it as a momentum car without having to overly slow down. You know, it is only about 350 horsepower, which on the internet is nothing, but in reality, it feels quick and strong, tough. This is why we go downhill, by the way, so the slow-moving cyclists are going the other way. Pedals are good for heel towing, although again, I'd like a little more brake modulation. I can get used to it, but it takes some effort. God, I love this thing. I am so happy with it now. Now that I can run the engine. It took a very long time to get this thing dialed in. I mean, 18 months they were working on it, but you get the car back and it's done and it's good, and you're driving it, you're putting miles on it, and it becomes worth it very, very quickly. With these Recaro seats, I'm able to really use my hands for steering, not for just hanging on. And I mean, the difference is insane. Absolutely insane. And this motor it's a big torque motor, so you don't have to wind it out all the time. I mean, it's fun to wind it out, but you don't need to be up at 5-6 grand. Make use of that torque band right in the middle. Some rocks on this side of the road. The most important thing, though, is that the car just makes me happy. It makes me happy to drive it. It makes me, part of me feels like a kid. Part of me feels like I've got, you know, just this canyon monster. Part of it is an attitude that the car gives off. I mean, it's tough looking, but it's all fun. And the point is, you know, I gotta keep putting miles on it, keep working on it, keep, you know, trying to break stuff, see what breaks, see what doesn't. And I don't know if I'll ever be done, but it's done enough that I can go for a drive now, and that's very important to me. So we'll keep you posted. Also, big surprise for those of you watching, I got the license plates for my Skyline. So we will be able to have that happening soon as well. So I will see you guys later, and thank you for watching and for your enthusiasm by Mustang. Goodbye.